You don't need tons of IQ in this business. I mean, you have to have enough IQ to get from here to down. The first rule in investment is don't lose. And the second rule in investment is don't forget the first rule. And that's all the rules there are. I mean, that if you buy things for far below what they're worth and you buy a group of them, you basically don't lose money. I'm a net buyer of stocks. I've been buying stocks ever since I was 11 years old. So don't forget the first rule. And that's all the rules there are. I mean, that if you buy things for far below what they're worth and you buy a group of them, you basically don't lose money. I'm a net buyer of stocks. I've been buying stocks ever since I was 11 years old. So when stocks go down, it's good news.
How do you time the big market moves so well?
The interesting thing is, obviously, we haven't the faintest idea what the stock market is going to do when it opens on Monday. We never have had. We have never made, Charlie and I don't think, in all the time we've worked together, and I'll tell you something later on maybe about how learning takes place, but we have never, I don't think we've ever made a decision that where either one of us either said or been thinking we should buy or sell based on what the market is going to do.
No.
Or for that matter, on what the economy is going to do. We don't know. We have not been good at timing. We've been reasonably good at figuring out when we were getting enough for our money. And we had no idea when we bought anything. Well, we always hoped it would go down for a while so we could buy more. And we hoped even after we were done buying and ran out of money that if it was cheap, the company would keep buying and in effect taking our interest up. I mean, that's stuff you could learn it in fourth grade, but it's not what's taught in school. Some people should not own stocks at all because they just get too upset with price fluctuations. If you're going to do some things because your stock goes down, you shouldn't own a stock at all. No, I mean,
what are dumb things? Selling a stock?
yeah, selling a stock goes down. I mean, if you buy your house at $20,000 and somebody comes along next day and says, I'll pay you 15, you don't sell it because the quote's 15. You look at the house or whatever it may be. Some people are not actually emotionally or psychologically fit to own stocks, but I think more of them would be if you get what you're really buying, which is part of a business. And the longer you stocks, the less risky they'd be.
You don't need tons of IQ in this business. I mean, you have to have enough IQ to get from here to downtown Omaha, but you do not have to be able to play three-dimensional chess.
Yes, man. Welcome to Money Flow Sunday service. Let's pause this. One of my favorite talks by the legendary Warren Buffett, man. If you haven't read his last letter, you are committing a serious crime. It's hard. It's hard to be smart, man, if you don't listen and read what smart people say. Definitely want to get in on that, man. It's one of those things that people say, yeah, I should do that, and then they don't. The money flow trading system is fractal. Today, on Sundays, I like to talk about the basics. It's not about any particular stock, but just faith in stocks. Because without faith, it doesn't work. It takes a lot of faith, man. It really does. That's why we call it Sunday service. It has to become like a religion. And you have to commit to it, much like you would commit to a religion. This here is what I refer to as a fractal pattern, and it's just some lines you see, and it's got some little statements: accumulation, uptrend, distribution, downtrend. And we refer to these as stages to keep things simple, but other people have different names for them. And it's just a price pattern, and people see it different ways. And for me, what I'm looking at it for is on a chart, and a chart is a window into the soul of the stock market. It's like looking in the eyes of the market. Something that a lot of people take for granted is this chart So taken for granted. Sad. I was once asked on a podcast, what's your prized possession? I had to think about that for a second. And I told him, stock charts, man, stock charts. He's like, what do you mean? Charts, man, just charts. Not the company stock charts, though I like their product. Charts. These right here. Not my car or a watch or even a house. Charts. The ability to look and see charts, and it's so taken for granted in this world, man. So through all my 21 years of trading now, every day that I've opened a chart, it was there for me. If I was sad, chart's there. If I didn't feel like trading, the chart's still there. Every day the chart opens up. Every day there's an open, there's a high, there's a low, and there's a close. Every day. And so the one thing I could depend on is these charts being there for me. Every day. And so my love of stock charts has really helped me accumulate a lot of wealth. And I do believe that if you don't love this, it's going to be very hard to accumulate a lot of wealth, in my opinion. And what we're looking at right here, the stock itself doesn't matter. It happens to be Wells Fargo, but this is a fractal pattern. It took me a lot of years, man. I traded for about 5, 6, maybe 7 years, not understanding this fractal pattern I share with people today. And sometimes people, they're lucky enough to learn it right away, and so they take it for granted, and then they go spend a lot of years looking for something else, only to come back and realize that this is it. It's all there is. It's right here. This pattern. And as price fluctuates through that pattern, like Buffett was saying at the beginning, I don't know where anything is going. I know people think they know, man. They don't know. You on YouTube? What's up? We got 70 people and 19 likes. Hit the goddamn button. I already had to curse in church, man. I gotta ask people to do it. Goddamn. How long you been on Instagram? How long you been on YouTube, man? Why did people gotta ask? I thought we were friends, man. I come here, I do this shit for free to talk to people. They can't click a button. Everything is taken for granted, man. Everything's taken for granted. This yellow line you see right here is called the 200-day. Look at this hat, man. Money Flow Gang hat. If you ain't got one, you're not very cool, by the way. I talked about my book yesterday, my little ebook, How to Be 10 Foot Tall and Bulletproof. If you ain't got that book, don't ask me no questions, okay? Don't bother. Don't text me. Don't DM me. Don't ask me shit. Get that book. Now you done made me curse 3 times in church. This right here, this yellow line, is called the 200-day simple moving average. It's used by institutions as a quick way of determining if a stock is undervalued or overvalued. Very simple. And they tend to look at it, and if it's below this yellow line, it's undervalued. And if it's above it, it's overvalued. Or not over and under, but undervalued. It could be undervalued coming down, but bull market, bear market. Like if it's in it below this line, they consider it in a bear market. If it's above it, they consider it in a bull market, okay? And it is a very good rule of thumb, and you want to create rules of thumb for yourself that allow you to quickly. But as you look at this, and you look at this, now I'm on a daily, but this is fractal. Fractal. A fractal is a never-ending pattern. See, the concept of fractal means it can be broken down. So a dollar is fractal. That's what makes the monetary system works. Bitcoin is fractal. You don't buy one Bitcoin, you're buying a Satoshi, which is like a penny. It's a tiny little bit. So you can have 1 penny, but if you have 100 pennies, you have $1. And if you have $100, you could exchange them, $1 bills, for a $100 bill, right? Or you could just have $1. Well, same in the stock market. Stock market's fractal. You could have 1 share, 10 shares, or 1,000 shares. Now, some people, when you're new, this is what you'll do. Well, 10,000 shares of a penny stock sounds a lot better than 1 share of a $1,000 stock. Truth is, it's not. You just have a bunch of pennies. They're all the same. The value is the value. Some people will think, well, if a stock is expensive, it'd be better to have more shares of a less expensive stock. That's total bullshit. It's not at all. And so what a lot of people will do when you come to the stock market is you're going to bring a lot of stupid ideas with you and wisdom that's just not true. And what you'll find out in the market is that a lot of things that people think are just not true. It's just not how it works, man. You can't logic this thing. You can't. If you could logic it, all the smart people would be rich, and that's not true at all. But the truth is, this is why economic reports, what the Fed is going to do, interest rates, none of that matters, guys. None of that matters. So much time is wasted on that nonsense. None of that matters. What matters is the price you're paying for a stock. Is it expensive or is it cheap? Now, it might be expensive. It might be cheap due to something the Federal Reserve did, but you don't have any way of knowing or controlling that, man. But what I do have control of is me, what I do right now, right? What I don't have control of, what Warren Buffett was saying, is what's going to happen tomorrow or with economic reports or with the Fed. So if one of the richest, smartest investors in the world says, I don't care, I don't really look at economic reports, I don't really pay attention to what the Federal Reserve does, why does a broke-ass kid got less than 20, 30 grand in the stock market, why does he spend his time obsessed about some shit that the richest man in the world don't care about? You have to ask yourself that, man. That's called wisdom. When you can look around and say, okay, what is this? And why is this person putting this shit out? Why are they telling me? Could it be to grow their YouTube channel? Could it be the only way they make money is making up shit on YouTube? Is that possible? That's possible. This right here is the price of gold. This right here is the price of gold. You know, a lot of people have opinions on gold. Gold's going to go up. Gold's going to go down. I don't have any idea. And those people don't have any fucking idea what they're talking about. 10, 11. They have no idea. But watch this little pattern. Whether it's gold, oil, crypto, Forex. Watch this. You're going to see price go sideways. And we're going to talk about how to determine what is sideways. You're going to see price go up. Then you're going to see price go sideways. And then you're going to see price come down. And then it's going to go sideways. And then price is going to go up. And then it's going to go sideways. Now, I didn't know shit about gold right there. I didn't know how much was being dug out of the ground. I don't know any of that. I don't need to know any of that. Nothing. I don't need to know any of that. Matter of fact, the more shit you know, the more likely you're probably to do nothing. It's been my experience. You're like, what do you mean? Meaning the more things you know, the more likely you are to do nothing. When I started to buy real estate, I didn't know shit about Section 8. I'd never heard of a burr. I didn't know about house hacking. I didn't know about any of the shit that people asked me about. I knew nothing. All I knew is I met a guy who said, hey, man, if you buy 10 houses, you can become a millionaire. And I had no other fucking option. 1052. No other option, guys. There was nobody else going to show me. And so he said, do this. And I said, okay. I didn't say, but what about this? All the shit that people asked me, I didn't ask any of those questions. I just went and did what he showed me to do. And then you guess what happens? I became a millionaire. And then as you have time to sit back and pontificate, I begin to go, look at this. I didn't know people were doing that. Look at that. You can do that too. I didn't know that. Because I was so focused on what I was doing, I wasn't looking around to see what they were doing. So I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know. I didn't even know you could equity out of a house. When they first explained that to me, I was like, what? And they were like, yeah, and the first time I did it, I felt like I'd done something illegal. I went into closing. I came out and my mortgage payment went up $50. And I just raised my rent $75 the week before. And when I walked out, they gave me a check for 45 grand. I only put 18,000 down on the house. And I still had the house. And the house had appreciated by double. And I just raised the rent. I didn't even know you could do that, man. I walked out, thought I'd done something illegal. Now, if I'd have known about that in the beginning, imagine how much I'd have been sitting around thinking, trying to figure it out, instead of just out buying houses. Yeah, I wonder about that, man. I think sometimes we know too much shit, man. A fractal pattern is this right here, and I like to start from a daily chart. Now, as soon as I say that, somebody will be like, but what about, just go with it. Daily chart. We're on a daily. But it works on all time frames. I day trade the same way that I swing trade. It's exactly the same. What I'm looking for is this pattern of price. Now, why does price do this? Well, it can only do one of three things. Price can go up, sideways, or down. That is it. That is all it can do. So you could wake up in the morning, take a coin out, flip it, and say, I think I'll get long XYZ, and flip a coin. Oh, if it's tails, I'm going to get short. And then you could place a stop, and you could trade that way. And some of you would trade better if you just flipped a coin. Why? Because there's a lot less thinking involved, more execution. What if you did that in the morning? Flip a coin. Try it. Heads, I go long. Tails, I go short. Here's my stop. Here's my target. I bet some days you're going to win big. That's the point. The point is it's fucking random. 10:55. It's completely random. Price. The shorter the time frame, the more random it is. But watch this. This is the faith part, man. You better listen up, Todd. You've been fucking around for a long time now. Jerry, John, I see a lot of you on here, man. You've been fucking around a long time. Stacy, Rebecca, you guys been bullshitting a long time. Manny's here. A lot of bullshitting going on for a long time. A lot of excuses. Oh, you don't understand, Gerald. A lot of us been bullshitting a long time. I've been bullshitting a long time, man. I wasted a long fucking time. This is Walmart. This is Walmart. We know Noel's been fucking around. Some of you got more pool shots and glamour shots than you do work shots. You're like, what do you mean? I mean, you don't glorify work, man. Work's not important to you. Eating cakes and hanging out with your friends, that's the most important thing. Most people find joy in not producing, meaning their happy time. You know why that is? Because the shit they do for money doesn't make them happy. The closer you get to free, the more money you'll make. You'll see in that clip of Warren Buffett, I was playing it. He says the reason he makes so much goddamn money is because he would do what he does for free. Take all his money, he's going to get up tomorrow and trade stocks. And the moment you do it for free, man, the money gets unlimited. If you work a job that they won't pay you tomorrow and you don't come in, you don't got a job you like, man. Imagine if you do it for free. Now, you don't want to do that for someone else. You want to do that for yourself, though. But that's just a little tip for you. Look at this Walmart chart. This is from 2023, 22, 21. Now, Walmart pretty much ain't done much since 21. See this big, basically going sideways. Really has not done much, has it? But let's back it up, man. 20, 19, 18, 17, 2016. Kevin, what were you doing in 2016, son? What was going on over here that was such a big fucking deal that you couldn't buy Walmart? Do you remember? Probably not. It probably seemed like a big thing at the time. Oh, my girl, man. I got my girl. I went and bought my stupid car that you don't own anymore. What about your girl? What was going on back here? Remember right here? In 2016. Do you guys remember? Does anybody remember what they were doing January 3rd, 2016? Unless you were in Afghanistan, you probably don't. Might if you were in Afghanistan. Now look what Walmart's done this entire time. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Look at this stock. He said he was in high school, fucking off, wasting his parents' money and time. Warren Buffett started trading stocks at 12 years old. You're over there playing fucking video games with your friends, just wasting time. So sometimes I'll meet a guy and he's like 19, got a little money saved. Like we're supposed to be impressed. I'm like, man, you've been wasting time for 19 fucking years. Now you decide you're going to get serious? Warren Buffett started trading stocks at 11. 11 years old. 11. Think about that. I used to want to adopt a Chinese girl that was good at math. And they'd say, why you say that? Because I'm going to turn them into algorithmic traders, man. I'm going to fill my basement full of them. I'm going to adopt a bunch of kids that are good at math. That's the only thing requirement. And they're like, what are you looking for? I need them to know math, man. You have any 8-year-olds that are really good at math? That's what I'm looking for. Somebody said, that's not cool. It'll be cool. They're going to be rich. Or you could just send them to some other person's family, and they'll be fucking broke, and then they'll 11.59, and then they'll go borrow money to go to college. Or you can send them to me, and I'll turn them into traders. That's an option. Well, don't let me get sidetracked. So this is Walmart. I know that's a secret stock nobody knew about. Let's check out Home Depot. All my real estate friends out there all think they're smart. All my real estate friends are always like, oh, I don't understand stocks, Gerald. I only do real estate. And they're like, oh, it's too complicated to understand the stock market. Is it? Is it complicated? Is it too confusing for you? So look at this pattern here. I want to show you something. Look at this right here. Listen up, real estate friends. I get a lot of real estate friends. They're like, I don't trust the stock. I know, because it's not a religion. That's why we're doing Sunday service, so that you will learn to trust the stock market. You see this little pattern here? Sideways, up, sideways, down, sideways. Now we're going up. That, my friends, is this right here. Money flow trading. This is the money flow. That little pattern. Now my real estate friends will say, I don't understand it, man. I mean, I have no idea. I don't get how it works. It's like, really? You never been to Home Depot? So if we back this up, and let's look at a monthly chart of Home Depot. I mean, so hard to understand. Look. It's complicated. Complicated. I mean, how would you know? It goes all the way back to the beginning like this. Just goes up, up. And there's no way to know about this stock. It's a secret, right? I mean, how would you know about this one? Let's see. What's another one? Oh, here's one in the news. All these guys want to shoot Budweiser. Okay. You got all these opinions about it. Don't own any of the stock, though. Asked a kid the other day. He was all pissed about the Budweiser. I don't give a shit, dude. The fact that even took 10 seconds in your brain means you don't have shit going on in life. But let's say that really did bother you, a commercial for a product. And I asked one dude, I said, how many shares do you own, bro? You seem so upset about it. He's like, what do you mean? Well, I mean, you're upset about a fucking product being sold by a company. How many shares do you own? Because you sound like you're a shareholder. Oh, I just use the product. Oh, you're just the milk cow that provides the dividends. And you're upset about it? Okay. So let's back this up, man. If we went to, let's go to a weekly. Let's back this up. Come on, man, don't throttle me now. Let's see. There's the weekly. So we got a lot of moves. My man, talking in church, says, teach your shit and stop belittling people about things you don't know about. Only because you came for me. I have no idea what this dude is talking about. Don't talk in church, sir. Listen, I'm here to help you. Back this up. This stock has had an adventure, huh? See, I've never even looked at it. Wow. This is could be the largest money flow pattern I've ever seen. Look at this. Wow. What an ugly stock. It does point out not every stock does go up, man. That is one thing in life. You'll hear Buffett talk about this. This is why you have to own many stocks. But even this one, over a long enough given time, if you look at it, has gone up in a really crappy way. Look at this. This is a horrible chart, but it has gone up in a very, very, very slow way. I bet Tap looks better, man. You know, I don't drink Budweiser anyway. I'm a Tap man myself. TAP. Let's pull that one up. Wow, what a nice run, huh? Look at this money flow pattern. I'm just randomly grabbing stocks right now. Man, don't ask me to pull up tickers. The fuck is wrong with you? We're in Sunday service, man. You're supposed to be quiet and listen. I'm trying to save your life right now. You guys want to talk tickers. What the hell is wrong with you? Listen, son. Listen. Up, sideways, down, sideways. This is the fractal pattern. A fractal's never-ending pattern. Fractals are infinitely complex patterns that are self-similar across different scales. All the weed smokers in the back, listen up, man. They are created, Wealth Squad, listen. They are created by repeating a simple process over and over again in an ongoing feedback loop, driven by recursion. Might want to Google that word. Fractals are images of dynamic systems, patterns of chaos. Meaning what happens tomorrow is chaos. Nobody knows what's going to happen, okay? It's chaos. Geometrically, they exist between our familiar dimensions. Fractals or patterns are extremely familiar since nature is full of fractal patterns. In other words, you walk outside and it looks like it's going to rain. You don't have to be a meteorologist. You might want to grab an umbrella. That's all I'm saying. It's not that complicated. So as we're looking at this right here, once we learn the pattern, sideways up, sideways down, sideways. Now, it doesn't have to go down, but this is a completed pattern, okay? But as I watch this, where are we at on tap? As I'm watching this thing play out, and once I learn how to pick the bottom, the stage one, we'll get to that. There's plenty of other videos where once we figure out the anchor point, once we have an anchor point, we can establish a bottom to play off of. And once price gets above our 5-day exponential moving average, we'll talk about that. Once that happens, that money flow effect, that is a fractal pattern that's taken place. Once I have those two key components, I now is either a trader or an investor. I can say, cool, I have a bottom to invest off of. I have a bottom to, or i.e. I have a bottom to trade off of, okay? A bottom to trade off of. And now I can enter, I can say, okay, I'm going to place a stop somewhere over in here. I'm going to get long. And then what? If you know the money flow, I believe price tends to stop where it stopped before. That's just what it does. And you see that right here, where when price ran up, look what it did. It stopped where it stopped before. So I know that going forward. So usually as a trader, what I'm looking to do, if I'm trading, is I start to take it off as it hits those zones. And if it keeps going, great. I hope it does. And then this is where we start to use other things called indicators. Indicators just indicate. And most of the time, they're operating off the past. They're using past data, open, close, high, low, and volume. That's almost all indicators are using one of those, open, low, high, close, or volume, or direction. And what do you mean by direction? Well, this indicator that we use called the RSI, all that I look for with this RSI is it lets me know when prices run up. It's velocity. It's measuring velocity. It's taken the last 14 days, and it's trying to find an average. So if a stock goes sideways, 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 you're going to start to see the RSI will just kind of go sideways. But if it rips and it moves faster than it has in the last 14 days, have you done that? You blown out your RSI? You're like, oh man, I killed it the last 14 days. I made more money in the last 14 days than I made in the last 14 weeks. hope your RSI is running hot. And that usually tells me, doesn't mean sell it, get out, and move on. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that in the last 14 days, it's gone far enough that on average it tends to turn around. And you can watch that, man. You'll see it. See it hit this, it'll start to slow down, start to go sideways. We saw it over here. As soon as it hit, starts to slow down and starts to go the other way. So I know as I watch this fractal pattern, as a trader, I can use the pattern to my advantage, right? As an investor, I can use the pattern to my advantage.
Personality. You need a temperament. Derives great pleasure from being with the crowd or against the crowd. Because this is not a business where you take polls. It's a business where you think. And then would say that you're not right or wrong because 1,000 people agree with you. And you're not right or wrong because 1,000 people disagree with you. You're right because your facts and your reasoning are right. In terms of what's going to happen in a day or a week or a month or a year even, I've never felt that I knew it, and I've never felt it was important. I will say that in 10 or 20 or 30 years, I think stocks will be a lot higher than they are now. Prices don't tell me anything about a business. Business figures themselves tell me something about a business, but the price of a stock doesn't tell me anything about a business. I would rather value a stock or a business first and not so that I'm not influenced by the price in establishing my valuation, and then look at the price later to see whether it's way out of line with what my value is.
Any word of advice you give to somebody who's a young investor who would like to emulate you, what you would recommend that they do to kind of build something close to what you've done?
I think you should look for the job that you would want to hold if you did the job. I mean, you're probably only going to live once. Shirley MacLaine may differ with that, or a few people, and you don't want to go sleepwalking through life. And you really, whether you make X or 120% of X, it really isn't remotely as important as to whether, in most cases, you marry the right person and you also find something that you would do if you didn't need the money. And I've had that job for 50 or more years, and I was lucky in that I sort of found early on what turned me on that way. But don't settle for something if you can.
That's crazy, man. Do what you do for free, man. Come on, man. I've been lucky to be able to pursue that most of my life, man. Doing what I do, what I would do for free. What's up, Tori? It's a beautiful thing, man. But sometimes you got to do some shit you don't want to do to get there. That is definitely for true. Rage is finally here. Ratty. All right. WP Designs. Aaron. Hey, Ron. Warrior. Everybody's done. You ready? We done wasting time in life? We've been here. We've been on this earth for a long time, man. It's time to get serious. As I was coming on, hopefully you're not listening. If you do, don't take offense, man. Friend of mine, stepfather passed away. Whenever that happens, you start to realize how important money can be to the people left behind. And I know people say it's not that important, man, but it gets real important when you start leaving behind kids and wives and family, and you leave them with nothing. I mean, nothing. Not only do you leave them with nothing, they're not sure how they're going to pay their bills going forward. And it's like, man, that situation existed when you had this. Makes me realize that my work is important. Maybe I don't do it the best. I often get accused of belittling people. All right. I don't know what to say. Toughen up, son. The world is hard, bro. Like, it's a tough place, man. You better be able to handle it. In the market, they don't give a shit about your feelings. It don't care if you're a girl. It doesn't know if you're a transvestite when you click the buy button. It don't know that, Most of those people you saw getting mad about, I don't even know the Budweiser story. I don't want to know. It's too stupid for me to spend any time on. I just assume it's stupid. I don't even need to know what it is, but I bet almost none of them own shares. I bet almost none of them own shares. But this is the Dow Jones for the last 100 years, and today it's way up here. And back in 1930, 1940, it was way back here. And then sometimes it runs up and comes down, and then it runs up and comes down, and it goes up and comes down, and it goes up and comes down, up and 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 down. And it's done that. And then sometimes it really goes up, and sometimes it really comes down. But over time, it just goes higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. Higher and higher and higher and higher. And yet, some people die broke with nothing. And yet there's this magic money machine that, given enough time times amount times yield, all they got to do is participate. Now you, I know, I get it all. Well, they didn't have any bullshit. Stop it. You can be on fucking welfare and do this, okay? The amount will be small. I get it. But we are all human beings created by a very powerful God that will give you pretty much what you want. But if what you want is poverty, it will give you that in spades. And given enough time, anybody on here, I don't know why when you were born your parents didn't open an index fund for you. I don't know why they didn't do that. I don't know. Whenever I call that out, people get mad. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to keep calling it out. They should have opened an index fund. And you should too. Some of you guys got children. Your children ain't got investment accounts. It's fucking ridiculous. 11:15 a.m. It's ridiculous. In this day and age, you have children and they don't have brokerage accounts. It's fucking ridiculous. All you got to do is click some buttons, and you don't have to put much in there, man. Maybe it's $5, it's $10, but I promise you, if you do it consistently over a long period of time, they're going to have money, man. It's just the way it works. Time times amount times yield. And so I'm for index funds if you don't have an interest in the stock market. It's one of the reasons I'll tell people, man, buy yourself a home. You're gonna pay money. You're gonna pay rent. Buy yourself a home, because in over a period of time, you will build up equity. You will have no choice but to get wealthier. And so if you have a 401k available to you, I know you're gonna hear a lot of people say 401k suck. They do, but it's better to have a shitty one than not one. It's better to have one that charges fees than doesn't charge fees. It's better than not having one at all, man. And even inside of that, when I ask, I've asked Money Flow Gang members, you're with me every day. You listen, and I say, tell me about your 401k. What's in it, man? And they pause. They're not quite sure. And it's like, fuck, dude. It's like, dude, how can you not know? Why would you go to work and you don't know that? Don't let people take money out of your account. You don't know where the fuck it's going or what it's in. Go look, man. I get it all the time. You got money in a target date fund. What is that, man? Do you even know how that works or what it is or what it means? And most of the time they go, no. Then why are you doing it? This is how easily, even the smartest of people can be misguided. But they know what time the fucking Cowboys are playing. They know who the coach is. But they're not sure what a target date is or what it means. So think about that, man. This is a fractal pattern, by the way, man. So important, man. And what this fractal pattern allowed me to do is come to the realization that I have no idea where stocks are going. I do know this with total faith. Over time, market's going up. I have 100%, zero fucking doubt at all, no room for doubt. It is going up. I know that. I know that for 100% certainty. It's done it my entire life. It's done it your entire life. It's done it your mama's entire life, your daddy, your grandpa, all the way back to the beginning. It has done that. 100% certainty has gone up. America has always gone up. That's a bet you can bet on until it doesn't. I don't know when that'll be. But in the meantime, that's the winning bet, man. And one day, I'm playing blackjack, and like a lot of people, I'm trying to figure out the market. I'm convinced there's some system or some strategy or some thing I can follow along or something. You know, anything. There's got to be something. There's some hack. There's some hack to all this. You know, I'm convinced of that. I'm always convinced of the fucking hack. And while I'm searching for the hack, right in front of me is 200 years of the stock market just going up, man. And yet I'm looking for the hack, you know. And the hack is me, man. The hack is I need to believe that over time it goes up. That's the hack. And so as I watch, man, and I began to watch and I began to study, and I came across this guy, Stan Weinstein. Stan Weinstein taught that the market moved in 4 stages. Prior to that, I'd studied the Dow theory. Dow theory says market moves in 3. Market goes sideways, market goes up, market goes down. And if we could catch right companies when they're down, you know, obviously you can make money. So I understood that concept, that if you buy things at a certain value point, that over time, you know, given the fact that stocks tend to go up, if I can pick good ones and I can spread it out, different companies, different stocks, then I'll do well. Just like in real estate, I don't want to buy every condo in the same building. I don't want to buy all the property on the same street. I want to move shit around, because then that allows me to catch city projects and gentrification of neighborhoods and all these things that happen. I can participate in because I'm able to spread my money around. Same in the stock market, man. I don't know which ones are going to do it. I just know as a group in general, they're going to go up, man. And so as I'm watching, what I began to do is I began to look for things that were on sale. And it's like, okay, but what does that mean? What do you mean it's on sale? And I meet a lot of smart people who would I'm just going to dollar cost average. And it's like, oh, well, if I'm down, I'm just going to add more. And I go, well, how do you know it's a good time to add more? How do you know it's not going to go even lower? And as I began to study that and came across Stan Weinstein, let me get this clean. Stan Weinstein talked about the 4 stages of price movement. And then one day, as I'm playing cards, I could see it clear as day, man. This right here. I'm playing blackjack. And as I'm playing, my friends are there. My friends are playing. And you ever been on a card table? There's rules. You know, there's certain hands you want to hit. There's certain hands you don't. There's certain hands you want to double. Certain hands you want to split. There's certain hands you don't. And it's not that it's for certain. And we don't know the next card, but we know statistically, if you do this over a period of time, this is the best way to play. Most people understand that. You can get into game theory and, you know. But as I began to watch, sometimes the dealer would come on and it would just be easy money. We just win. And then it would kind of stop. And then you would just lose. And I'm like, wow, this is a lot like the stock market. Up, down, uptrend, distribution, downtrend. And as I'm listening to that, I began to see the pattern in my head. Stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then as I began to think and I began to look at charts, I'd be like, man, it's not on a weekly, dude. This is happening on a daily. This pattern. And the clearer I could identify it, what I realized is it allowed me a systematic way. It didn't have to be perfect, but it gave me this way of identifying lows and highs, possible bottoms, possible tops, times to trim, times to add. And if I diversified that across a lot of stocks, on the times that I was wrong, no big deal. And sometimes I'd be right on the money, and that would allow me to multiply. And so then all I had to do was figure out if a stock was expensive or cheap. And then there's a lot of easy, that's not complicated at all. That's an easy thing to do. It's easy to know if a stock is expensive or cheap, man. Super easy. Hey, Christopher's here. Christopher, now you can get your shit together, sir. Go forward. So, my friend, this is a common story. I've seen it happen a lot in my own family, other families. Dad passes. There's no insurance. There's no money, guys. Well, where's it going to come from? You got to eat. You got to live. Other family will do it for them. So then they become a burden. You say, well, it's not a burden. You know, it's my family. I know. But now that family can't invest. They can't save for themselves because the previous one didn't do it for them. You have this ongoing cycle. And it forces poverty on everyone until someone breaks the cycle. Could start with you. Maybe you break that cycle. You need help. You need anyone to take care of you. You got money. You're taking advantage of this. You're seeing what's in front of you. The stock market's right there for everyone. There's only 3 ways to get rich in America. Own a business, invest in business, or own real estate. That's it. And so you got to figure out where you fit in that. I don't want to own a business, but I don't mind investing in other people's businesses. So what the money flow began and allowed me to do is I could track things like this stock here. And these indicators, the moving averages, and yeah, it doesn't really matter what mine are. These are what mine are. It matters what you do with them, you know. And it's not so much about price crossing the moving averages as is what is price doing at the moving averages. You know, what is the numerical alignment of the moving averages? It's not so much the crossover. A lot of people put a lot of emphasis on the crossover. That's not so much what is important, is the stage that we're in and the numerical alignment of the moving averages, man. Super important. So once you back up, once you believe that over time prices go up, then all you got to do is figure out your spot, man. Figure out when is an entry for you. What is an exit? Once you begin to figure that out, you begin to simplify everything. But here's the problem. A lot of times people step out on the risk curve, you know, and the riskier the stock, say a penny stock, a biotech stock, these stocks may or may not go up, man. They're not necessarily going to go up with the market. You know, when they talk about that, we're talking about big companies, S&P 500, and you see it. Sometimes they come out of the S&P 500. Stock doesn't say. Or gold, right? These things stay. These things are going to be here. Bitcoin stays, going to be here. You know, but whatever coin may or may not go up, man. You know, so we got to figure out what are the things that are gonna go up, and what are the things, you know. And even then, you're not gonna get that perfect, you know. But you just got to know that. You got to look at what it is you're doing, you know, and ask yourself, okay, you know, is this the type of thing that over time, you know, will go up, man? Look at Uber. Maybe Uber doesn't go up. Maybe Uber ends up going out of business. Look at this big pattern. You know, that's why I can't just own Uber. You know, I can make a systematic bet in Uber, right? What does Buffett say? Rule number 1, don't lose money. Rule number 2, follow rule number 1. And I can make a systematic bet, and that's what it is. You know, any large position in any one stock is just a bet. But that's what that is. That's betting. You know, and that's kind of what trading is. We're betting. You know, you're taking an educated bet, but it's a bet, still the same. But now if I plan to hold this for 10 or 15 years, I mean, it's going to take me at least 5 to 7 years to get all the shares that I need. Did you hear what I said? It'll take me 5 to 7 years just to get all the shares that I want. I mean, how many shares do you have? It ain't that many, man. Most people got baby numbers. Well, it takes time. It takes 5 to 7 years just to get a position big enough, man. You know? It's about average. If you read Buffett's last letter, it took him 7 years to accumulate all the Coca-Cola that he wanted. So I've been accumulating now Uber. Feels like 2 years. Maybe that's a little long. When did Uber IPO? Yeah, it's been about 3 years now. So probably 3, 4 more, I'll get all the shares that I want. Think about that. So many people pop in and out.
Possibly, don't worry about making the most money this week or next month. I mean, when I offered to worked for Ben Graham, I said, I'll work for nothing, and I met it, you know, I mean, just the idea of being turned on. So look for the job that turns you on, find a passion. You had two world wars, and you had a Great Depression, flu epidemics, all kinds of things. American business will do fine over time, and if you own a piece of it, and if you don't beat yourself, the only person that can cause you to get a bad result in stocks is yourself. If you're investing, if I'm going to buy a half interest in a McDonald's stand and you're going to run it, or a McDonald's franchise, you're going to run it, I look to the business to determine whether I made a good investment. And I'm concerned about, you know, whether we have new competition, how we do over the years, but it's the business I look at. When you're just looking at the price of something, you're not investing. You'll have a hard time finding a person that's had a wonderful experience, a delighted experience in purchasing anything that isn't going to come back. And similarly, if the memory is of rudeness, indifference, you know, whatever it may be, they're never going to come back. And as a small business owner, and as you grow, you have to not only be able to project that interest in people's well-being and delighting them yourself, but you have to do it through other people. And you won't be able to do it through people who themselves do not feel they're being fairly treated, that their views aren't appropriately considered. So you really
Love those talks by Buffett. It's like they're. Let's check something here. I may have to drop Instagram. They do this periodically. If I'm using Instagram and YouTube, I get throttled by my internet provider. I don't know why that is. This recent sell-off we saw in the banking stocks, man. If you go look at all the nonsense that I've seen on YouTube about the banking system and all these Ricker and all, I mean, the nonsense that is on there, the time waste, the intellectual, mental masturbation that you see on there, of all this stuff and all these ideas and all that, and for me to realize it, I don't need any of that. I really don't care about their opinion because I know for certain they don't know. Okay? So I'm listening to a guy who doesn't know. And I don't know how much value to give to someone who can't possibly fucking know. So as you think on that, and then you could just go, okay, what if I just watch and I have a way of catching the bottom? Like I have a way of identifying what I call the anchor point, and then I have a way of identifying what I call the box, or what looks like the box, and that process becomes a repeatable pattern, meaning in this big sell-off we saw in banks, well, it's just a stage 4 like we saw over here. Right there's our anchor point, and then it turned, and then there's our stage 1 buy, and then there's our breakout, and then it runs up to where previous high. And so the exact way that I would have traded this is exactly the way that I would have traded the banking sell-off. You get what I'm saying? And so any news, any information that comes, it doesn't fucking matter. 1132. It doesn't matter. It's all the same, man. What moves markets is fear and greed. You know, and this is kind of a fear and greed gauge right here, this RSI. And I know when this goes red on the way down, all I got to do, I don't need to know why. You could go read and try to figure it out if you think that somehow is going to help you, you know. Or you could just say, you know what, America's done just fine. Pretty sure it'll keep doing just fine. I'm gonna go research and see which bank is best positioned to handle this, and I'm gonna pick up some of these easy plays, and I'm gonna start to pick them up when they hit an anchor point, and then bam, there you go. And then the money flow allows you to do that, and that's what's happened here. And then we're able to execute on that, and we can trade them. You know, these were the big banks. So anytime there's a crisis, the big ones, are the play. I mean, that's the layup play. So if oil's crashing, the layup is Exxon, Chevron, Conoco. The further out we go, Halliburton, Schlumberger, this, we get into the mid tiers and the low caps. You might have a much larger exponential return, but we don't know for certain they're going to survive. The smaller companies, different debt leverages, but we do know Exxon, Chevron, Conoco. We do know XLE, so we can start there, and then based on our risk parameter, we can take it down and we can spread it out and see what kind of return am I looking for? Do I want to leverage it? Do I want to do options? Does it make sense to do options? I mean, the last thing you want to do in the midst of a crisis is run out there and buy some call options. We need to know what's our expected time frame that this emergent, that maybe this is going to take a while, So the more you live through those, and the more you understand the money flow, and the more you have faith in the overall system in the long term, the easier that game gets. And then every crisis, every setup just becomes opportunity for you over the long term, right? You can use that short-term volatility to your advantage, right? Man, I hope you got in on some of these banking stocks, man. Can't let these opportunities like this just go away, or at least you're trying to play it in some way or fashion. I know I'm trying to play it in the regional banks, but the big banks have been the winners so far because the big banks recovered fast. So if you owned banking stocks, there's your buy. Stage 1, money flow, right there. You didn't even need to know what's going on. You just saw a stage 4 decline. You let it set up. Come over here. You go make sure what's up on Wells Fargo. You do a little research like Morningstar. They're like, it's below value, 30%. You can go read on it, understand what's going on. You're like, cool. As soon as it falls underneath here, I'm good. I'm waiting for the stage 1 setup. Boom. You start buying. And what? Look, you got shares down here, down here, down here, down here. And you're just going to do this over your fucking life. I'm 35. You're going to do this through your whole life of accumulation. And that's how Roy Bartley gets rich. That's how you get rich, sir. Unless you're fucking around and not doing it, not paying attention, looking at other things, then you're not going to get that way, right? Lou's here. Lou gets a chance. Lou could get rich if he wants. Or maybe not. Maybe Lou's busy. Maybe Lou's looking at other things. He don't have time to pay attention to that. Maybe he doesn't. But it is here for you if you are. Jonah's here. It's here for him. Chris is here. These are here for you every day, man. These aren't going anywhere, man. Keenan's here. Look at him. He's here. Who's on the, who else we got here? Hustle Nation. What's up, man? He only owns one stock. We got to get him into some more stocks. If your internet service provider throttles you, have you ever looked into Starlink? Don't start the Starlink shit. Let's see. Roman Empire also said S&P is only going up, and look what happened. Are you serious right now? You just pulled an example from 1,000 years ago. Thousand years ago. Yeah, guys, you should invest based on the fucking Roman Empire. That's what I'm going to do. Why would I use the evidence right in front of me when I could look at the Roman fucking Empire? Well, we could see, what did the Mongolians do? I wonder how they handled their banking crisis. Is that where we're at, man? Is this what you guys, you can't really be doing that. Right? You can't look at this Dow Jones chart that your entire fucking life has gone up. Your daddy's life, your grandpa's life, everyone you know, all of your fucking life, this has gone up. And your response is, well, it didn't work for the Romans. They didn't have the S&P 500. They didn't have fucking markets. They had dictators. Right. I don't know why you're in church, sir. I really don't. I really don't. What's up, Ruben? I don't know how you would trade, and if you think like that, I don't know, man. This obsession with the death of the dollar, it's so fucking dumb. I've watched people my whole entire adult life talk about that stuff. My whole entire adult life, and they're all broke, and they're all poor, and they have their stupid little gold coins that produce nothing, make nothing. You know, I like gold. I like to trade it, but it doesn't produce cash flow. You got to pay to protect it. Most people don't even own much. Most of the guys worried about it don't even have much. Interesting. By the way, I think Rome lasted like 1,000 years. I think we're only on about year 400, so we got 600 more to go. So I'm pretty sure during your guys' lifetime, the S&P 500 will go up. Pretty sure. Matter of fact, over a 10-year period, it's like 90 whatever percent. What is it, like 20%? It's not much, man. In a 3-year period, less than 20% of the time, market's down. It's not much. In a 1 to 2 year period, who knows? Who knows? But you need it to go down. But you will have a very, 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 very hard time being an investor. Here's KRE. You'll have a very hard time being an investor if you don't believe. If you don't believe in the market, if you don't believe. And we've seen this, and I see it every time there's an issue, every time there's a thing, you know. Right now, you see people, you can tell who doesn't believe in real estate because they're not sure if they should buy real estate. Has never been a question in my mind, but it's made me a multimillionaire. So any fucking day that I can buy it, I want to buy it. If I have the money and it's for sale and it a cash flow, I'll take the property any fucking day over any YouTuber or any stupid ass book that's been written or any fear. I'll take the property. I bought them in 2008 crash. I bought them in 2003. I buy every year, any day. If I can find a good stock on sale or a good piece of property that'll cash flow, I'll take it. I don't give a fuck who the president is, what's going on in the economy. I don't care if it's a depression, I'll take them. I'm not in depression, okay? I'm not in that. I'm not. I'm in the accumulation and growing wealth program. I'm not in the what everybody else is going to do program. I'm in the grow my empire, my business program. So, man, I'm telling you, when you get faith like that, when you believe like that, it's a superpower and it gives you advantage over other people. It really does, man. Go back and look. Go back and look at that history. Go back and pull up these things and realize that all of those all of those, man, you can go look at the crash of, 87. You can go, you can go look at all this stuff, man. And all of these things, these were all just opportunities for you. And once you see that, once you believe that, and you have your buckets right, and then you can zone in on this money flow, man. You start zoning in and understanding, it always shocks me, man, the number of smart people I meet, and they're actually smart, and they don't spend any time under how to identify a stage one and an undervalued stock. And it's like, goddamn, if I had your money and your intelligence, and it's something as simple as a chart, and then I could watch it and see it go, and I had your money, my God, how rich I'd be. Talking to a guy the other day, make $375. I'm like, well, shit, I'd be a millionaire in 3 years. It's a different value system, man. I can't even imagine making that kind of money and not buying shit tons of stocks and real estate. I can't imagine. I don't know why you would even want to make that kind of money. What's the point of making that kind of money if you don't acquire things with it? It's wasted. You just giving it to corporations? You're working that hard, you developed all that skill and all that talent just to give it away? I mean, really? You just want to give, oh, here's some for you and some for Visa and some for Delta and some for this nightclub and oh, here's some for everyone but me. Like, it makes no sense, man. Once you start to value you and your kingdom, get the big picture in the faith, man, it's just a math problem. It's just a math problem, man. It all becomes just a math problem. That's all it is, man. It's just a math problem. Time times amount times yield. It's just a math problem, man. A friend, stepfather passed today. He had no money. None. You know, my free ebook, You Don't Have to Die Broke. I think, man, what if he'd have read that 20 years ago? Just did it. What a different situation it'd be for his family today. You know, a lot of people say, oh, more to life than money. Okay, man. You tell the broke wife that, trying to figure out where she's going to live and how she's going to pay for it in her old age, because it was so much more important than money, you know. It upsets me, man. It's not even my family, and it upsets me.
You have to learn to multiply yourself through other people.
By far the best investment you can make is in yourself. I mean, that, for example, communication skills. I tell the students that come, they're going to graduate schools and business, and they're learning all these complicated formulas and all that. If they just learn to communicate better, both in writing and no, I mean, if you can't communicate, somebody says, you know, it's like winking at a girl. And you have to be able to get your ideas, and that's relatively easy. So nobody can take it away from you. Second thing, which I'm getting criticism for not living it, but I do tell those students, you know, that if I gave you a call, you take care of it like you can. One mind and one body in this world, and start taking care of it when you're 50. By that time, you'll have rusted out if you haven't done anything. So you should really make sure that you just remember.
We will always have a lot of cash on hand. And when I say cash, I don't mean commercial paper. 2009, financial panic came along. We didn't own anybody paper. We didn't have money market funds. We have treasury bills. We believe in having cash, and I've been a few times in history, and will be more times in history where if you don't have it, you don't get to play the next day. I mean, it's like oxygen, you know. It's there all the time, but if it disappears for a few minutes, it's all over.
I'm having the time of my life. I mean, I get to do every day with people who I love and who seem to like me pretty well. And it doesn't get any better than that.